ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This the matrix, I'm Neo. I know that I know. I am that I am, so I speak so bold. On the verge of losing hope, I know where to go. Switch my style.
Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. Thank you for joining me. It's good to be with you all again, and I'm really excited about today's show. So we're going to go ahead up to our sponsors. Shout out to Up and Going Cleaners, Anthony McMath, 219-200-2400, www.upandgoing.net. He's killing the game, killing the mobile cleaning service game. Not only is he in the northern Indiana area, but he's also in the southern Chicagoland area. He's on the west side, downtown, from funeral homes to banquet halls to each piece in your closet. He's doing this thing. So big up to Anthony McMath, Up and Going, www.upandgoing.net, 219-200-2400. So appreciate what you're doing. I also want to shout out a couple of more people, a couple of more businesses, actually. Alfredo's Barbershop is located downtown 4 West Chicago Avenue. Shout out to Alfredo. Been doing it for over 66 years. Been there for a while. I can remember when I was young, that building was still there. And I think that's one of the only buildings that are still standing from way back when. Shout out to Jason, Mr. King out there doing your thing. Again, that's Alfredo's Barbershop. Been there for a long time. Look them up. Alfredo's Barbershop, 4 West Chicago Avenue. Really interesting history from, the dailies to movers and shakers in Chicago back in the day to, the big gangsters back in the day. They've come across a lot of people in that shop. It's a really old school shop. And I think if you're not going to get your hair cut, still go by and just check it out. Ask them about the history there. Really interesting. So, again, IntellectualRadio.com, the Denasha Harrison Show. Go onto your website, put in IntellectualRadio.com. And once you do that, click the subscribe button. And then we can go ahead and look at different shows. Just not just my show, but there's a couple other shows out there that you really would enjoy. So I want to talk a little bit about my week. Again, it's been a busy month already. It's been busy, but I'm grateful for it. 2024 is flying by fast already. February is coming up. A lot of things have been going on. January has been a very busy time, but it's been a good time, and I'm blessed. I go through things just like everybody else, and I just want to let you all know that I am grateful that the universe, that God has come through for me time and time again. In spite of what has been thrown at me, I have overcome some really, really interesting times in 2024, and I'm glad about it. I'm glad all about it. So let me tell you about today's show. So the first guest is going to be a gentleman by the name of Herb Taylor. He's on 89.3 WPFW out in Washington, D.C., playing the blues, playing the jazz, doing his thing. He's been a very huge inspiration to me. He's family, right? But he's going to share a little bit about how he got into doing what he's been doing for a while. So he's got time to come on the show. I want to have a conversation with him. And then also on the second part of the show, we're going to bring up a videographer. I know back in the day, back before the new year, we had J-Mac on the show. This individual, he works with J-Mac. We'll introduce him when he comes on. Talk about how he got into videography. Where is he at right now with it? Where is he going with it? So, interesting show. We got a lot to cover, and we're going to get into it. And before we move forward, I'd just like to give a quick recap on last week's show. We talked a little bit about Cabrini Green. Actually, we talked a lot about Cabrini Green, the history of it, and the research that's being put into trying to find out what's going on with the remaining structures over at Cabrini Green. Some places are actually developed. Some places were abandoned and still are cordoned off in that area. And again, That area is Ward 27. Again, Alderman Burnett, who's also the vice mayor of Chicago, is somebody that we really would like to talk to. Really, we really want to know what's going on in that area and why. Because it's a wonderful space in the Chicagoland area, downtown area. People may or may not be tied to those properties that are still standing. And we generally want to know what's going to go on with those properties. Uh, are they able to be sold? Are some of the owners still holding out for a bigger payday? Uh, what is the plan for the city when it comes to those properties? So hopefully we can get in touch with the alderman soon, and I'll have an update for you soon. But I just wanted to double back a little bit and go into that some. So Ward 27, we're gonna go ahead and revisit that for that for that space from the last show. So again, you're listening to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. And when we come back from this short break, we're going to be talking to Herb Taylor. So thanks for being here. Don't go away.
You ain't got enough money to buy my soul. Ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This the matrix, I'm Neo. I know that I know. I am that I am. That's why I speak so bold. On the verge of losing hope, I know where to go. Switch my style from singing vocals to magical flows. Study the streets a little closer. One with the ghetto. Got wise as I got older. Unloaded the metal. New millennium rebel. After that federal dollar. Balanced the world on my shoulders. I know my soldiers are following we at war. Cause kids still dying in the streets at war. On the block running from the police at war. In the US, this ain't the Middle East at war. With the problems in my own community and the sword. It's the only way to fight an enemy. Lord, save my father from this bottom to Hennessy. What more can I give? I'm giving all of me. And for real, it's only getting hotter for me. Harder to see and harder to breathe. And there's only one remedy. I gotta be smarter than my enemies.
In the water, wade in the water, children, now wade in the water. God's in trouble.
I'm being chased by demons, the triple team exposed to false religions. I'm hated by jealous niggas that don't wanna see me living my life scar from living home. Pulling off papers, I'm chasing paper, no holds barred. Peace of mind, and yet to find my heart's cold. Got the friends, my last road dog turned me in. The cost of war would never change. Who takes the blame for bad decisions? So many missing from following orders. This hill's giving, got the world tripping. They pushing prison at us young niggas. That's why we having high triggers, won't let the war get us. I'm not alone with the way that I feel. It's like millions out the clutching they steal, roaming the field. I am what I am, and best believe I'm following me. A guinea pig, I refuse to be. The streets got a hold on so many lost souls. It's old. I pray to God he starts letting me go. No, I'm not a fool, and I'm definitely not following rules. Hoping that the Lord pulls me through.
When I'm at the gates, standing before Christ, and he's flipping through the pages in the book of life. Final judgments being made as he look in my eyes. All I can vision is the wrong that I've done in my life. Close my eyes as I look back at the sky, the puzzle pieces. Demons to try to stop me, and all I wanted was freedom. Better living for my people. Did you ever hear my cry? In my mind, I never understood.
Welcome back to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. Feel free to call in. Feel free to sponsor and support the Denasha Harrison Show or any other show that you see on Intellectual Radio that you're interested in. It's a wonderful show, wonderful platform, and I'm always saying thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on the air with all of you. Thank you for listening. So before we went to the break, I talked about the man, the myth, the legend, Herb Taylor out of the D.C. area. So we got him on the phone right now. We're going to talk a little bit to the DJ extraordinaire. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, welcome to the Denasha Harrison Show. I'm good. Welcome to the Denasha Harrison Show. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good. We out here in D.C., you know. Not quite as cold as it is in Chicago, but it's still cold.
No, it's not. But you know what that Chicago cold is like from time to time.
Oh, I sure do. I sure do.
So, again, thank you for joining. I want to talk with you about a little bit of what you do, how you got into doing what you do. First of all, he's an amazing DJ on 89.3 WPFW out in the DC area. Very inspired by this family member, uncle, brother of mine. He's been a huge
Yes, sir.
influence on me, a huge inspiration. He's got crates and crates and crates and crates and crates of records. You can go down in the basement and just vibe to some cuts that you never heard played on the radio. And so he's been an inspiration to me, not only to just be on air, but to actually get out and get in front of folks and say things and speak your mind. And he's been that guy to let you know, hey, you know what? If this is the groove that you're going towards and this is what you want to do, then just make sure you're 100 with it and make sure you're going to do what you like doing. So that's the influence that he's been on me. So Herb, talk to the people and tell them how you got into the jazz scene and being on the radio, things of that nature.
Well, I don't know. I was always very much into music, even as a very young man. Although I was never a musician. Some of my other family members, my sisters, were musicians. One of my sisters was symphony orchestra cellist. She's one of the first black cellist, symphony cellist back when that was very rare. But I was not a musician, but I was always a big fan of the music. And Chicago plays a big role in my education because Chicago is where I got my higher education in music. You see, because when I started collecting. I came to Chicago when I was 17 years old. You know, I went to school at Northwestern up there on the North Shore, and that's where I started doing radio. You know, for the college radio station, and that's where I got my introduction to the incredible, superb live jazz scene, music scene in Chicago, which it was in the early '70s, early to mid or say mid '70s when I was there. And Chicago was just a great place for music. You know, I can hook you up with a lot of great musicians in Chicago that can tell you a lot more about the history than I can. I can just tell you about what I encountered when I was there, and I shake my head just remembering all the stuff that the stuff that I learned about music when I was in Chicago.
Well, I'm looking forward to you making that hookup because it is an exciting time in Chicago. And we have a lot of different types of music that's being done here, produced here. For example, um, family member by the name of J Mac, doing big things with
Mm-hmm.
his music. And with that, and you know, I I commend the type of music you play, the type of jazz and blues that you play, because although we've heard of the different artists, you got that A side, that B side, and I've experienced a lot of B side music listening to your show, your station, and it just blows me away about all the great compositions that are out there that mainstream has never really got into playing before.
Yeah, see, yeah, Chicago's a great place. Like you just said, it's so many different types of music that came together in Chicago in the 20th century. You know, the rural blues, the urban blues, the church, all of that came together in the northern urban centers. You know, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, New York. I mean, New York and Chicago were the two main spots. And Chicago, big studio scene in Chicago. All the musicians mixed together. They played all kinds of music together. And when I was there, one thing I realized was, I need to go out and see some of these great artists live. And Chicago allowed me to do that. My man Joe Siegel, who used to run the Jazz Showcase back then. The Jazz Showcase was on Rush Street, on Northwest Street. Man, that was my hangout. And back at that time in the '70s, going into the '80s, bands which would go around and they would play a week. They would play for a whole week. it's not like that now. It's changed. But bands will play for a whole week. They play from like Tuesday to Sunday, 3 sets a night. You know, and I guess it's listening. Chicago is such a great musical community, a great jazz community. So I know it's probably for the jazz fans in Chicago. I ain't telling them nothing they don't know. But it used to be like 3 sets a night, 9, 11, and 1. So you could if you played Chicago, you could go to 3 different shows. You could see like 3 different artists. I actually did it. I've seen as many as 3, 4 different artists in one night. Different shows in one night, and it kind of tricks me out now to think that there were shows that would start in like 2 sets. The last set would be like 2. It was supposed to be 1, but everything is late, so it would be 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when they would start. They would be starting their last set. So
wow,
I was in the club with the show, and Joe Siegel would let me in because I was, I told him I was in the media. I played the media card. I told him I was a DJ. He said, okay. So he would let me come in long as I drank. But and I got to sit with McCoy Tyner.
wow.
I would be sitting right at the end of the piano. I could reach out and touch the piano keys. I was sitting at the feet of Art Blakey. When Art Blakey would drop his drumsticks, I pick them up in the middle of the song and hand them back to him. And Pharoah Sanders. I remember sitting at the bar with Pharoah Sanders like 2 in the morning. I'm like 17, 18 years old. Cecil Taylor,
Wow.
Sun Ra. Spent a whole day with Sun Ra. 'Cause that was one of his regular stops, a jazz showcase in Chicago. And I would get out of the club. I would get out of the club at like 4 in the morning. The time the last set was over, it'd be about 4 in the morning. I get out at 4 in the morning. I'm supposed to be in class at like 9 o'clock. But it's a metaphysical nature to music. It's a higher means of communication. They call it music being a universal language. There's a lot of information that's programmed into music by these great musicians, these great artists. And I learned as much sitting with Cecil Taylor, sitting with Sun Ra, sitting with McCoy Tyner, than I did with my professors at the university. So that's where I got my higher education in jazz in Chicago, and I always respect that city and love it immensely.
Wow, you mentioned some giants in the music world, let alone jazz, but the music world. Did you ever run into Ramsey Lewis at any time when you were here in Chicago?
No, I never ran into Ramsey. I chatted with him a couple of times, but mainly I think around the time when he was, because Maurice White was in his band. Maurice White was my guru. The first got me into jazz. He's a Chicago guy, right? He actually came from Memphis, but he came to Chicago, and he was in that scene with Phil Coran and all of the members that started Earth, Wind, and Fire were right there in Chicago, and when they moved to California. Maurice White was the one. He used to be the drummer in Ramsey Lewis band. I remember I chatted with Ramsey when he was playing with Earth, Wind, and Fire, but Maurice White was the one that when I first started seeing Earth, Wind, and Fire, when they just started out, when they were playing the college circuit in like 1973, he would talk about Coltrane, how he was influenced by John Coltrane, and that's what really got me interested in jazz music. Because I had nothing but respect for Maurice White, and when he said I needed to listen to John Coltrane, I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start listening to some John Coltrane. And then, like I said, next thing I knew, I'm sitting with McCoy Tyner, who was his pianist, and getting educated in the music, sitting in the jazz showcase.
And that's deep. I must tell you, when you had your sets playing on Monday on 89.3, a couple of friends that I was listening with, they'll tell you it just took me somewhere else. For one, it's been a while since I've listened to just some straight up beautiful, meaningful jazz music. But when I
When
tuned,
some of the music I was playing Monday, that was like Ernest Dawkins and the Chicago 12.
mm-hmm,
That's the Association for the Advancement of Creative Music, right? That's the latest generation of guys that came out of that school. See,
mm-hmm,
what you have to understand is in the 60s and the 70s, up until the 70s, they had music in the schools, in the public schools. They had fantastic music teachers, public music teachers in the public schools in Chicago, in New York. A lot of those musicians learned in public school. You could go to public school, pick up an instrument, have a great teacher, have a career in music. When they
wow,
disinvested in public schools after Brown v. Board, when they started disinvesting in public education, they got rid of the music programs. I saw something recently where LA is like one of the last places where they still have music in the school.
wow,
And so you had, at that time, that generation of people, they were learning. I'm talking about Henry Threadgill, Roscoe Mitchell, Anthony Braxton, all those people that grew up in Chicago, Ernest Dawkins, Kahil El-Zafar. They can tell you about the great teachers. I can't think of some of the names of the great music teachers. The bands that they had in the schools, in the public schools in Chicago in the
mm-hmm,
'60s, and they don't have that anymore. You
mm-hmm.
know,
It would be,
so
it
that
would be,
generation that came after
mm-hmm,
my generation, your generation, that's when hip hop became popular because what they didn't know, um, they didn't have the education with the instruments, but they learned how to manipulate turntables and samples. That's
mm-hmm.
where all that came into the music because they disinvested in music education in the public schools.
Wow, that appreciate that information. It would be nice if we did have those programs, especially in the Chicago public school system, to include, other cities that that look like us. Tell me something. How's the jazz scene in Washington D.C. right now?
Here in DC, or DC has always been, Duke Ellington is from DC. There's a lot of great jazz musicians that came out of DC, and it's a strong community here. We have, the station that I work at, which came on the air in 1977, been on the air, for 47 years. It's a non-commercial station, part of the Pacifica Network. And it's been dedicated to jazz music. So we've always had a jazz radio station. Oh, and let me tell you, that's the other reason I got into jazz music was because of Howard University at the HBCU here in this city. In 1970, when they opened up the FM band, that's when FM first came online, and like right around 1970, Howard University had a student radio station. The station is well known now, WHUR. They're most known for pioneering the Quiet Storm format. That was later in the '70s when they developed that. When they first came on the air, it was a student-run station. They were playing jazz. Up until that time, it was you had the AM stations. Like, you're younger, so you weren't around at that time. But it was just the AM stations. It was like two or three black. It was like two black AM stations that played, R&B, straight R&B. And when the Howard University station came on the air, these guys they were playing music right out of the Black Arts movement of the late '60s that was centered in New York. So I was hearing a lot of the John Coltrane and Gary Bartz, all of the great black music that was being done out of the Black Arts movement in the late '60s. I was hearing all of that on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And actually that's still what I recreate now is that kind of sound that I heard back when I was 12, 13 years old. I was able to hear on the radio because of a historically black college, Howard University, which is right down the street from where I grew up. And they had their own radio station. They still do. They don't do much jazz now, but they started out as a jazz station.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you the last time I was listening to you, which again was on this past Monday. You know, I think you. I don't know if you ended with Black Satin, but
Oh yeah,
was it Black Satin by Miles Davis?
yeah. Black Chamber Miles Davis on the corner, right? Yeah.
Man, it was hitting. But absolutely not enough time. We're going to get into it. You got to promise me that you're going to come back. And I know, from time to time you might come to the city, but I would love for you to be in studio for a few reasons. Number one, it'd be good to see you. Number two, people will not believe that you're a day over 40 because you look younger than me. And black truly don't crack. And when you see my Uncle Herb, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You all are gonna be like, man, ain't no way this dude could be talking about anything that went on in the 70s, early 80s, anything like that. But truly an inspiration.
Yeah, I'd love to come back, man.
But come on.
We can talk about the music because black music, man. Jazz is just one part of black music, and it's taking over the world. I mean, the other thing that was happening in Chicago at that same time was the music that came out of black queer culture in the clubs, the house music, which is taking over the world. And who would have thought that music that came out of the clubs, out of the queer club scene in Chicago, would have taken over the world? I didn't even believe that would happen.
Right.
But it's all different branches of black music, of what the AACM called Great Black Music, Ancient to the Future. It's just all different branches of it. And off air, we run out. I guess we run out of time. But off air, we talked about go-go music. Same thing, man. That goes back. That's rooted in Africa, and it's going around in a circle, coming back to Africa. I got a brother that's moved from DC back to Accra, and he's bringing the go-go bands from DC there over to Accra because there's a lot of people in DC that have moved over to Accra. Okay.
Well, I know that.
So there's like a DC go-go subculture in Ghana now.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But Chuck Brown to be proud right now.
Yes, sir.
So so when possible, we'll get you here and get you in studio and chop it up. I know that the brother that came on after you, because you mentioned Accra and you mentioned Go-Go, the brother that came on the show after you, when you were on Monday, he was playing that Garifone music, and that reminded me when I lived in Africa. The first time I heard, Afrobeat outside of Fela Kuti or Garifone music was when I lived in Central West Africa for a time. And just to hear all that.
Desert blues is taking off. That music out of the Sahel region, from Bamako or whatever.
That's right.
Mali, man.
Yeah.
And that's the root of the blues.
That's
the
it.
5-tone scale that the African string players play, that's the root of blues music in the U.S. And they came out of the rural South in the U.S. It's the same thing. That's why these blues musicians over here, they can go over there and jam with the musicians in Mali, and it's the same musical language.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah, it's deep.
So thank you for joining us. Before we let you go, tell us how people can listen to your station, your music. Tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Our station, WPFW, we stream. It streams worldwide. The website is WPFWFM.org, and it streams the programs that I do. Or I do a show called The Collectors on Monday night, and I do a morning show called Morning Brew Beyond Borders on Wednesday mornings. And the shows are they're on the website for 2 weeks. So if you go on there, if you want to hear what I do, you can scroll through and pick out. But you can listen to. We got all kinds of music going on there. A lot of young people, a lot of the old heads, and it's just great black music and great information, great politics, political discussion. We got all that going on 24 hours. It's non-commercial. It's listener sponsored. It's non-commercial. It's WPFWFM.org, and we love to have people tune in. I got people that call me from all over the world.
Well, I really spend the time with us, coming on, talking a little bit about the music. The next time I have you come on, we're going to talk a little bit longer. And whether you get back here soon or you get back on the phone soon, I'm looking forward to getting back on the radio with you shortly, Unc. So I appreciate the time. Tell Auntie I said hello. Tell the kids I said hello.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you shortly. It's not going to be.
And thank you for introducing me to IntellectualRadio.com. You know, it sounds good. Wish you great luck, and look forward to coming back on again, man, in the future.
Oh, absolutely. We got this. So thanks for calling in, and I'll talk to you shortly. It won't be as long, but between now and the next time. So I'll talk to you shortly.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
That was Herb Taylor, and we're going to bring our next guest in a couple of minutes. So you're listening to the Denasha Harrison Show on Intellectual Radio. Thanks for joining us, and don't go anywhere. Be right back.
You ain't got enough money to buy my soul. Ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This the matrix, I'm Neo. I know that I know. I am that I am. That's why I speak so bold. On the verge of losing hope, I know where to go. Switch my style from singing vocals to magical flows. Study the streets a little closer. One with the ghetto. Got wise as I got older. Unloaded the metal. New millennium rebel. After that federal dollar. Balanced the world on my shoulders. I know my soldiers are following your war. Cause kids still dying in the streets at war. On the block running from the police at war. With the US, this ain't the Middle East at war. With the problems in my own community and the sword. If the only way to fight an enemy, Lord, save my father from this bottom to Hennessy. What more can I give? I'm giving all of me, and for real, it's only getting hotter for me. Harder to see and harder to breathe. And there's only one remedy. I gotta be smarter than my enemies.
In the water. Wade in the water, children, now wade in the water. God's full trouble.
I'm being chased by demons that triple team, exposed to false religions. I'm hated by jealous niggas that don't wanna see me living my life scarred from living hope. Pulling off papers and chasing paper, no holds barred. Peace of mind and yet to find my heart's cold. Got the friends, my last road dog turned me in. Because the war would never change. Who takes the blame for bad decisions? So many missing from following orders. Cause ill giving got the world tripping. They pushing prison at us young niggas. That's why we haven't had triggers, won't let the war get us. I'm not alone with the way that I feel. It's like millions out the clutching this steel, roaming the field. I am what I am, and best believe I'm following me. A guinea pig, I refuse to be. The streets got a hold on so many lost souls and sold. I pray to God he starts letting them go. No, I'm not a fool, and I'm definitely not following rules. Hoping that the Lord pulls me through.
When I'm at the gates, standing before Christ, and he's flipping through the pages in the book of life. Final judgments being made as he look in my eyes. All I can vision is the wrong that I've done in my life. Close my eyes as I look back at the sky, the puzzle pieces. Demons to try to stop me, and all I wanted was freedom, better living for my people. Did you ever hear my cry? In my mind, I never understood why we were born to die. Die.
Wade in the water, children, now wade in the water. God's full trouble, water.
This one is suicide. I used to think with a pistol. Now I know the war's mental bullets can't fight these issues. Nothing's clear, it's all static. My super jail time if I load this automatic. Black votes about to expire. We yelling democratic, we get the fire. That's why you see passion in my eyes. I'm still at it. We should devise a real plan. Barter votes to the party that's giving us farmland. It's all about the money, right? Men that take it, they try to charge you for sunlight. This ain't a dream. I say you no lies. All I can knowledge is only put us further behind. If we don't know who we are, how can we see the vision before we die? All my cousin wanted was better living. He didn't find it. All he found was Hell's Kitchen. Underground and his kids missing. With real sickness to lose another real nigga. To the traps to the streets. And they wonder how we cope with these tragedies. Boxing with the devil. We've been fighting all my life. I was raised in the ghetto. We the children of the night. Oh God, can you help us? We are Israelites. We lost and need shelter from the snake about to bite.
Welcome back to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. The Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio, 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. We had a wonderful conversation, wonderful discussion with Herb Taylor. Again, Herb, thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to having you on the show again to talk some more about that musical history, that musical greatness that comes up out of Chicago. And I think we're about on the same lines with things when we talk about the music. Because right now we got somebody in the studio by the name of Corey. Corey with Social Storm. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good. Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. as always. And for those of you who don't know, if you weren't here, or if you did listen before, Corey works with J Mac, who's an up and coming artist doing great things. And I'm looking forward to having J Mac on the show again to talk about the latest things that he's done. But a part of J Mac's process is due to this man right here, Corey. So he's a videographer doing great things. And I wanted to get him on the show to talk about some of the things that he's doing, how you got into it, and how he's moving forward with it. So you're from Chicago, correct?
I'm out from the suburbs, but yeah, I've been in the Chicago area all my
Okay.
life. Yeah.
Okay. So how'd you get into videography?
So for me, my dad's always been a photographer, and he did crime scene investigating. So I've kind of learned early age from like taking photos and videos, and I took photography classes in high school. Actually, winning a photography contest when I was in high school during my junior year from the county that I lived in. I won the photography contest of just taking a downtown photo, and actually won that. So I've always had like a creative aspect in that end of that.
Okay. What
Yeah.
what high school?
I went to Canelan High Schools out by like Aurora, closer to DeKalb.
Okay.
So
Just want you to rep your school.
yes.
You send a shout out to your school, rep your school. Okay, so that's how you got into it. So how did you and J Mac and other artists that you work with, how did you take your talent from where you took it from to the music?
So for example, we'd come up with like a lot of different things for content creation because we just look at a lot of things that are happening in the community because especially just from like capturing stuff on video, it's good to keep the audience engaged and making sure that you're doing things the right way. Not you don't necessarily just to be everything in some sort of process, but having your own creative aspect into your media from like photos to videos to social media content. It's very important to show who you are as a person because especially being a brand because you're basically a personal brand now with social media, it's important to show you're early on is showing who you are as a person, what your why is, and how you can impact other people. Is showing that you're authentic, not showing that you're a perfect individual, is important for someone in the development of their career, whether that's being an artist, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. It's very important to show that aspect and not seeing like stuff that's just you're 100% perfect, but you are relatable to people that see your content and videos.
Okay. So you mentioned that your dad did, crime scene photos, things like that. So an influence on you
Yeah.
to do what you do. How did you know for sure that this was something that you really, really wanted to get into? What was it that really grabbed you about, I would say, the art of photography?
For me, I'd say it's the way you can express different things, the type of emotion you get when seeing content like photos and videos. Because a lot of things he did when I was younger, I played football, I played basketball, ran track. My dad always took photos and videos online, so and able to see the memories again. And then for me, especially me being like a business owner now with Social Storm and also taking photos a lot, you can basically just capture like a portion of some of your life and be able to see it again and have an impact on other people on their emotions in a positive way or a way to make them feel like they can do something amazing because you see a cool photo, you're like, that's something I could recreate and something that is very powerful, especially when it's something that's just very well placed. It might be like a random photo you took or a video that you might not thought was something good, but some people saw it in a different way that was very positive in that aspect of things.
So, do you truly feel like a photo is a moment in time that is much more than what you see? It's memories, it's events, it's the time that you felt a certain way or did a certain thing a certain way. So, would you say that that photo truly can take someone into or on a journey?
Yes, yes, most definitely. Like, especially like you see someone that makes like good content or good photos, like videos in like a cinematic way, or they make a good music video or make good content on social media, it kind of attracts people because especially days like today, it's like content creation is like capturing people's attention. And the more creative aspect that you have to it and being consistent at your craft is something that could help you build a sustainable business or brand or express yourself in a way that is positive towards other people.
Okay, speaking of craft and small business, tell us about Social Storm.
Yeah, so for me, I'm the founder and CEO of Social Storm, which is a media company promoting financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and personal development. I started this 11 months ago in my college dorm room as a 19-year-old, and but it started way before then because I started investing in stocks when I was 16 years old, and now I'm 20 years old. I study marketing and finance in college, and I dedicated that brand to help other people that might not have the resources or might not have a platform to help them promote themselves as an entrepreneur, learn more about financial literacy because that's not stuff that's taught in school, or reaching their true goal or having a platform so they know that there's a resource for people to go whatever they want to do, whether that's being a business owner, an artist, or whatever passion that they have in their life.
Okay, so what's on the horizon for Social Storm right now as far as um, you have any workshops coming up, any events coming up with your company right now?
We plan on on having a major event sometime this summer. Not yet announced. We're still in the works and planning for that right now, but we plan on having a major event where we can collaborate with different artists, different creatives, and different business owners. So it can be kind of like a summer event where it can be also very creative and community engaging, but at the same time bring entertainment and business together in a form where there's a lot of people that are young and ambitious and a lot of people that have talent, and we connect all those people together so a lot of people can provide value and just come together as a community, which is needed because there's a lot of times where you might have a lot of business people but they might not have the creativity aspect to keep people engaged, and having people that might have art or some sort of talent but they don't know the business aspect of it, and that would be some sort of event where we can collaborate both of those things together within the Chicago area.
That sounds really really good. And before I go into a couple of questions that I have for you, 708 We're talking to this brother who is a owner of his business at 20 years old. Social Storm is what he's doing. 630-746-7374. So if you're interested in his business or knowing more about his business and beyond videography, 630-746-7374, you can get in touch with him. Um, Quick question for you. What was one of the most challenging times that you've had shooting um, any type of content? And we're not going to throw J Mac under the bus because he may be difficult to work with. I don't know. He may be easy to work with. I don't know, but not talking about. Well, yeah, we could talk about him. If it's challenging, it's challenging. No,
Mhm.
just shout out to J Mac. I'm just teasing him a little bit. But what's one of the most difficult times that you had doing your craft?
For me, I'd say in terms of like content, one for content creation, in terms of business. So one challenge that we've had like with content creation is usually just basically able just to retain the photos because there's been times where we actually accidentally deleted the photos
Wow.
by accident. So that's one thing that we like take a lot of pride is making sure that we don't lose the content, or we make sure there's not some sort of communication issues because there'd be times where we create something and then certain people wouldn't show up, or um, just things wouldn't work out logistic wise and it doesn't work as smooth, or we somehow lose the content or the content doesn't show out the way that it goes. And one thing we just learned from that is that every time you shoot content, you it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to go 100% your way, but if you can continue to shoot, don't give up on what you're doing because not every video or every photo is going to be the next big thing, but if you keep shooting, keep on consistently doing it, posting, making more content, you'll eventually find your niche, whatever you're good at, whether that's photos or the cinematic videos or content creation or thing like that. If you can find what you're best at and get really good at that one thing, so it's really important just to keep going and not give up.
So take me through the method. So you talked about logistics
Mhm.
earlier, right? So, for example, if you do you do storyboards for certain shoots before you actually try to put the shoot together? So, for example, um, your vision is a whole bunch of people in the parking lot with sports cars doing donuts, going crazy. but sports cars don't show up, or you don't have enough people. How would you say, how do you make that adjustment? Do you got a B plan, or how do you continue to try to move forward with a vision like that
Uh,
if something's not falling into place for you
so we always kind of, it's good to have a good backup plan. So always being able to think on this like
on the
thinking very
fly?
quick on the fly, think on the fly, because you have to be able to make quick decisions, especially being like a business owner, entrepreneur. You have to be able to like adjust on different times. So always having, whether that's having a backup like um idea, because we always like just brainstorm different ideas of like what could happen if someone doesn't show up. So if you always prepared, you're not going to be surprised when those things happen. So being able to actually almost over prepare on different situations, whether that's having a backup location or that's having different clothes, or maybe having to just change the whole entire like type of content that you're creating that day. It might not be a music video, it might have to be a photo shoot, or it might be an interview, or it might be have to change the plans and be able to think on the fly and not really get emotional about it, but think from a business standpoint and the most efficient way, less with your emotions, but on what the situation is given, and just basically just handle the business and basically execute.
You just got to make a pivot.
Right.
Do what you got to do to make a pivot to keep it moving forward. I like that. When you are doing your content, um, putting it in the can, as some people say, like you didn't erase the pictures, you didn't erase, so you got your product. Um, do you edit your own product as well? You have an edit team, or how does that work? Is it just as much, if not more, work to actually polish that finished product?
Yeah. So for me, I don't usually edit most of my videos. Usually my brother or someone, another videographer or editor usually edits it. I usually take most of the, sometimes I'll take the photos. If he doesn't have someone else taking the photos, I'll take the photos. But usually, like in terms of like video editing or photo editing, I'll use a resource so I can make the video editing more efficiently. So this is one resource I use for all my videos. Like if I'm doing an interview, it's called like Opus Clip, where you'll shoot a long-term content that's about 30, 40 minutes, and you want to turn into those short clips you see on YouTube or Instagram. You can plug that whole thing, and then it'll pick out those best clips from those videos. And that's how I'm able to make content consistently on social media, being able to post every other day or in a reel, because instead of trying to shoot a video every single day or make content very scripted and unauthentic, I'll shoot all the content in one time, like one day. It might be one interview that might be 40 minutes, and that whole entire AI can make it so it runs more efficiently. So you spend less time trying to edit and tweak a video, but shoot more time where you can connect with people. You can build those relationships and actually make more quality content without having to focus on doing all the extra stuff, so you can make your business run efficiently. Because AI is so important in going to the future that more people should take advantage of, because there's AIs for photo editing that can put different filters. There's AI for different videos, so you don't have to spend hours and hours a day or spend time trying to hire a video editor, where you can have one thing that can do it in 30 minutes and save you so much time and money.
I've seen your work. Um, Wonderful video work. Uh, are there full-length feature films in your future with you and your team, with you and Social Storm? Is that something that you're looking at expanding your business into? Not just videos, not just clips, not just commercials, not just interviews, but actually full-length feature films, things of that nature?
I believe I could do it, because for me, I'm always the type of person that's always interested in a lot of different things. And we've even talked about having a film or something down the road. But I see down the road just having Social Storm being a whole entire platform just to help different people gain notoriety creatively, and also informing different communities that might not get different resources. So being able to basically just have short films on different people, documentaries on different creatives to get them more spotlight, or talk more, have a panel about investing or about business, about entrepreneurship, so that it's more creative aspect, because a lot of people in business, or they don't have the creativity to express that through the community. And I feel like me as a person, I've expanded my like skill set, not just from just being a business owner or just shooting videos, but also being able to just expand creatively. For example, one time for me, I'm not an artist, but one time I went to this one open mic for J-Mac, and he told me to perform. And me, I'm always ready for opportunity because I know there's so many opportunities out there. You just got to go and take it. So I said, why not? And I went up there and performed and did a freestyle, and it sounded decent. So I could see myself expanding into different realms. Maybe even might make a music video or something down the road, or make a documentary, different things like that aspect, because I believe that the sky is the limit for what Social Storm has to offer going down the road.
Mhm. Where does fear fit into this
Um,
for you?
for me, I feel like I'm not really fearful of stuff, because if you feel nervous about something, that means you're about to do something amazing. So if you're not putting yourself in different situations to take risk, then you're not going to get the reward that comes with it. If you keep living your life not taking any risk, you're not going to reach your full potential. So you won't know until you actually try something and see what you like, what you don't like, and putting yourself in different situations you might be uncomfortable. Because I could have been like, oh, I didn't want to go on the stage and perform, but that made me realize that I could do so much more, as a creative or as a business person or public speaking,
Right.
or doing anything I put my mind to, because so many people are just so limited in to what they're comfortable with, comfortable in the community, comfortable in wherever they're at. But if you actually go to travel or just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation and talk to people, you might meet different people that can help you elevate your craft or find out what you want to do and what you want to do in your life, especially like your network. And that's so important overall.
I totally agree. We're talking to Corey from Social Storm. How can people get in touch with you? Now, I sent your number out there, 630-746-7374. Uh, tell the people more about how they can get in touch with you concerning your business.
Um, People can get in touch with me through Social Storm 5 on Instagram. I post daily content about videos, business, entrepreneurship, motivational content. Social Storm 5 on Instagram. You can follow my brand new podcast called Inspired by the Storm on YouTube, where we talk about just motivational content as well, more information, more in depth, longer form content, so people can just reach their potential. And we're going to expand and starting to expand to like interview people from all over the Chicago area, whether they're a business owner or they're an artist or any sort of creative aspect in their life, and bring different perspectives, because that's what I believe the social aspect. Because social storm means like social part is like connecting with people from different areas, and the storm is all like the negativity, that stuff that doesn't matter. And basically the social aspect is basically cutting all the negativity and turning it into a positive, because that's so much that we need in today's society. Because you see a lot of negativity online with social media. A lot of people say that people can't do stuff, but if you actually connect and put yourself into an open mindset, you could go way farther than you ever expected.
Mm.
Create something that you never thought was possible, just by a thought and ambition that you could implement in your life each and every day.
Less noise and more connections, right?
Yes.
I like that. So, Social Storm, Corey, you're doing it. Continue to do it. And the same thing I told Herb is the same thing I'm going to tell you. You got to come on again. We got to talk more about the same, right? I'm looking forward to it. So, thank you for coming on the show. Right after the show, we're going to get together on when you can come back on the show and talk about some more, because you mentioned something important. You know, your platform is more than just videography. You know, you got a lot of things going on in there that can help a lot of people move forward with business decisions, whether it's videography or something else. You mentioned a lot, and I'm really, really interested in getting into that with you. So thank you for coming on the show. You're always welcome. And we'll see you next time on the show. And for everybody else out there that's listening, again, intellectualradio.com, the Denasha Harrison Show. I feel like we had a great show. If you feel like we had a great show, go ahead and subscribe to intellectualradio.com. Hit that like button on the Denasha Harrison Show and just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. So you can also sponsor the show. It'd be very much appreciated. And 708-223-8953 and also 224-800-9227. 9719. That's my direct number for all you sponsors, you potential sponsors. Go ahead and give me a call. But thank you for joining us. It's been a wonderful show, healthy show. Thank you for our guests coming on, Corey and Herb. So we'll see you next time on the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio.
On the block, running from the police at war with the U.S. This ain't the Middle East at war with the problems in my own community and the sword. It's the only way to fight an enemy. Lord, save my father from this bottom of Hennessy. What more can I give? I'm giving all of me, and for real, it's only getting hotter for me, harder to see.